Hi, this is Bill, and you are on Finest Travel Beat with Angela and Bill. Today we take you to the Riu Palace, Costa Rica, located in the beautiful Central American country by the same name. We stayed here recently, and we will show you around the resort, give you a full tour. At the end, we'll tell you what we liked, what we thought could have been improved, and along the way, we're going to give you some information on some useful information that you'll need to plan a trip to Costa Rica and things you need to know about the Riu Palace, Costa Rica in general. So stick around, and we hope you enjoy the rest of this video. The little speck you see in the middle of the screen with the red roof and the white roof are the Riu Palace, Costa Rica, and the Riu Guanacaste. Now, they are two resorts within the same complex, and throughout this video and following videos, I'll explain the difference between the two of them and who can use what facilities. But let me tell you a little bit about Costa Rica first. Costa Rica is a country about the size of West Virginia. It's located in Central America. It has Nicaragua bordering it to the north. To the south is Panama, and it borders the Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea on the coast. While it's a small country, it's very mountainous. It's a real upcoming hotspot for tourism. A lot of people are interested in going to Costa Rica now, which is part of the reason why I went. And I did go with a group of fellow retirees from the New York City Police Department. And I'll be using their input and their thoughts throughout the video as well to kind of give you a consensus on what everybody thought. Now, Costa Rica is a very safe country. They have a relatively low crime rate. Particularly for Central America, it's interesting. They've had a very stable government for many years. They actually do not have a military. And it is known for the biodiversity and a lot of forests and jungles. You'll see some of the wildlife we've seen along the way through the video, but it's a great spot for ecotourism and biodiversity, seeing animals in their wild habitat. Also, they do have active volcanoes on the island, so there's plenty to do when you go there. We flew into the Liberia airport, which is about a 2.5-hour flight from Miami, approximately 5 hours from New York. It's a very small airport. There's only 6 gates, but going through customs passport control and getting into our transportation was a very quick process. It was probably about 20 minutes. The ride from the airport to the hotel by the shuttle we took was about 45 minutes, so it's really not too bad and not too inconvenient. Now, as you see, we're entering the lobby of the Riu Palace, Costa Rica. As I mentioned, there is a separate property right next door, which will be the subject of another video. I did a full walkthrough of that. And on that video, I'll probably highlight a little more of the differences between the two, but we'll talk about it at first. We arrived at check-in. They took our luggage right in. As you can see, the lobby is, if you've ever stayed in a Riu Palace Resort, it's very similar. There's a lot of bright purples and a lot of bright blues. It's a modern but retro decor. It's very eclectic, I guess would be the term I would use. Some people felt it was a little bit dated, but that's kind of the Riu feel. It's a Spanish company. They're known for hotels throughout Europe, and they have many, many properties throughout the Caribbean and Mexico. And in general, I find that they provide a great value. Now here is the Italian restaurant, Lanfora. We ate there one night. I had the lamb chops, which were fantastic. They were a little small. Food in general here was good. I'll go into that more. In the style that most people seem to like when I do these videos is just kind of film a walk through the whole resort. And that way I can just kind of point things out as we go and then explain along the way my thoughts and some information you may need. It also, I think it gives you a really good idea of the layout of the resort, because some of the videos are kind of choppy. You're really not sure what's from one to the other. And as you can see, off the back end of the lobby was a jewelry store. They didn't really have a whole lot in there other than some jewelry. And this is the lounge. The service at the lounge was excellent. The drinks were really good here. Lots of spaces to sit. Beautiful views from floor-to-ceiling glass windows there. And then as you walk across, there is Cappuccino, where they had different coffees and pastries. As you can see, there's some donuts. What I thought was interesting here was it was not open actually during breakfast hours. So during the breakfast hours, you actually had to go down to the buffet, which was located downstairs. And I think I have some video of that, of the buffet breakfast. As you can see, really pretty spot to sit down and, have a drink before dinner or relax after the show at night. As I take you through the rest of the lobby here, make sure you subscribe to the channel within the next several days, a couple of weeks. I will have a video up on the room that I had, which was a Junior Suite Ocean View. And there'll also be videos on Costa Rica in general, and also a video on the Riu Guanacaste next door. Now, off to the side here is Lounge 24. This was a little glassed-in area. It's open 24 hours a day. They have some seating areas. There's also a machine that has self-service soda. There's coffee available in there. And then there's also some, in the evenings, there's some trays with things like hot dogs and some chili and some nachos and some light snacks, so to speak. Now, an interesting thing here is that the lobby is actually located on the second floor. Here you have to walk down a couple of flights of stairs to the area where most of the restaurants are located, and also to walk throughout to the pool and to the beach area. Located off the lobby, down the hall a little bit, are elevators that you can use that service all the guest floors, as well as bring you down through to the main floor, or deck 0 it's actually called. So in the elevator it was actually a little bit confusing, but I got used to it after a couple hours. As you can see off to the right here is a sign for the white party that was on Friday night. That was actually the only event that was held next door at the Riu Guanacaste that was open to all people. That was fun. There was a little video of that later on. We had a great time. The music wasn't too loud at it, which I enjoyed. Now, off to the right, as you exit the lobby, there is a booth, as you can see, where that gentleman is standing and booking spa appointments. The spa is actually located in a separate building between the Riu Palace Costa Rica and the Riu Guanacaste. I have a little video of that, which will probably be in the next video of the series. Here we have Cristal Restaurant. This was the only restaurant that I did not try, although people said they definitely enjoyed it. Not sure you can really see the menu. The menu is generally available online, though, and they do somewhat change, and they can even change from night to night as they add or subtract things due to availability. This is the main lounge. The main shows every night were on this stage here. As you'll see, there are 2 separate stages. The entertainment was good. The entertainment was somewhat typical of all-inclusive resorts. The shows did start on the later side, generally about 9 o'clock. I know for a lot of people that like to eat early, that was a little bit of a challenge. And off to the right there, you saw briefly, is an area they set up in the morning where you can book your transfers going back to the hotel if you're using Amstar or one of the other suppliers, or also different types of excursions you can book from them as well. You see plenty of seating, nice tables. It was very good. As you saw in the back, there was another stage. So what they did almost every night was after the main show on this stage, which, for instance, one night they had karaoke or a rock band, they would open up the other stage and just have some live music going for about an hour or so. And the live music that they had on that backstage was actually very good. We enjoyed it. Now we're going to walk you over to the other side, which will be to the left as you're walking out of the stairs coming down to the lobby. Next restaurant we're going to look at is Tokyo. Now that is a Japanese restaurant. It is not teppanyaki, though. It is served by a waiter. They had sushi options. All the meals had pretty nice appetizers, salad choices. At this particular restaurant, I had beef tenderloin, which was fantastic. The food in general at the resort was very good. It was done properly to the proper temperature. The flavor was great. It had a lot of flavor to it. The meats were really good quality, and we enjoyed it very much. We did eat here one night, like I said. And there's Jimmy and Jackie and Charlie. That's part of the crew I was with. We had a great time. It was really fun just running into other friends, and going with a group is a real great way to either cruise or go on a vacation. I highly recommend it. Here is Arenal. Arenal was the buffet. It was open for breakfast every day. I did have breakfast here every day, and it was also open for dinner. The breakfast was good. It wasn't great. I had omelets. Omelets were very good. Bacon was a little inconsistent. Plenty of choices, but of all the food in the restaurant, the breakfast buffet was probably my least favorite of the food we have had at the restaurant. And we're about 10 minutes into the video, so it's time for a shameless plug. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let us know your thoughts of a video of the resort if you've been here or you're thinking of going there in the comments below. And definitely subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and you'll get notified every time we do new videos, which we have quite a few of done previously and plenty planned. Now let's talk about weather. The weather when we were there was in the 90s. It was in March, which is kind of their prime season. It was dry. We had no rain during the 4 days we were there. It does get rainy as you get into the spring months. What I will tell you is the sun was extremely, extremely strong. I blasted through a can of sunscreen and still got it burned. So watch that sunscreen. Bring sunscreen with you. It is very expensive on the island. The shops across the street here, you'll see later on, it was $40 for a can of sunscreen. Bring it with you. And obviously make sure it's reef-safe sunscreen. Pool temperatures are warm. The sun was very strong. So I don't know what the pool temperatures were, but it was warm, but it was fun. We stayed in the pool most of the days, and we really enjoyed that, talked, and it was definitely like getting into, say, a lukewarm bath would probably be the way I would describe it. Now, as you can see, there was a couple of pools in the center. A pool that they had a beach volleyball net up that was pretty active. Over here is the swim-up bar and swim-up bar area with some tables and some seating. This video was early in the morning, but this place got hopping as the day warmed up. The pool over here on the left is pretty much where we stayed. There is another pool, which you'll see later, which is on the right, which basically mirrors this pool. We hung it out here quite a bit, and that seemed to be a little bit quieter, those pools, than the one in the center. Chairs. When we first got there, we were able to get chairs pretty easily right after breakfast. On Saturday and Sunday, when it got busier, it got a little bit tougher to get chairs. Now, the other piece of advice I'll give you is make sure you have slippers. Do not try to walk on these surfaces in your bare feet. You will literally burn your bare feet. These tiles were extremely, extremely hot. And I'm going to pause our walkthrough because there's my friend Delvis and his wife Mary and a couple of other people in our group paying absolutely no attention to me. And in a couple of minutes, they'll discover I'm filming them, so we'll start talking, and I'll pick up the video in a couple of seconds. Now, again, here's a picture of the swim-up bar area. They also had behind there an area that you can walk up to. You'll see that in the video a little bit later on as well, and order drinks. Now, this resort is not adult only. Both the Guanacaste and the Palace Costa Rica do have children. The pool off to the side that I showed you a little bit before seemed to be more of the quiet pool, so there weren't as many kids there. Over here where they have the basketball hoops and the volleyball nets and things like that, there tended to be more children. Here is the towel hut. Now, with Riu Resorts, one of the things is they give you towel cards when you walk in. So you have to actually hand them the card to get a towel. When you're done at the end of the day, you give them the towel back and they give you a card. Make sure you don't lose the towel or the card, because at checkout, if you don't give them the card, they do charge you, I believe it's $15 for the card. So don't lose the card. Now, there's just a little video walking up to an elevator for the main rooms. Over here on the left, they do massages on the resort, right on those beds. There's also do massages on the beach, which many people did and highly recommend. It was much less money than the resort was. And we'll walk you back through here again, and I'm going to walk down towards the beach now. Now let's talk about one of the things that we found somewhat disappointing on the resort, and everybody in my group, which was probably about 15 of us total, agreed. The strength of the drinks was severely lacking. Now, I don't like to throw around the terms watered down because I think it's overused, and in general, it's really not accurate. I've never felt on any cruise line or resort that they take the alcohol bottles and pour water in them. That said, the drink service at the pools, the drinks were very weak. Unless you had a can of beer, there really wasn't much alcohol in them. Now, mind you, I'm not complaining too much because the drinks were plentiful, and with the hot sun, having less alcohol in the drinks is probably doing everybody a favor, quite frankly, because it's easy to dehydrate, and you could kind of lose control pretty quickly in the hot sun if you're not used to it and the drinks are too strong. But if you're somebody that's looking for stronger drinks, you probably want to go up to the bars themselves where they make the drinks in front of you. There I found the drinks were a little bit stronger. So let's walk down to the beach now. It's not far to the beach area. 5-minute walk. Beautiful grounds. The wildlife there was amazing. It was so great in the mornings getting up, walking out to the patio, and hearing the monkeys and the birds and the different animals, which you heard throughout the day. The wildlife was amazing. There were iguanas. I'll show you in a separate video. Maybe I'll show you a little bit in this video. We went to what they call the monkey bar. Explain that again later. But it is an area where there are hundreds of wild monkeys that would come down and you can feed them and things. The sand is a little different. It is not your typical white sand beach. Do not expect that. It is formed, I believe, from volcanoes. It's a very volcanic area. The sand was dark. It was a darker. It wasn't quite black sand, but you could tell it was definitely a different sand than we're used to in most Caribbean destinations. Now, as you can see, as we walk through, all beaches in Costa Rica are public. So set up down here are different places where you can get independent excursions. They do all the different tours. There's also locals set up selling different items, whether it be stuffed animals or handmade goods hanging to your walls. Did some purchases here. The pricing wasn't bad. They don't tend to haggle as much as they do in some other places. And they also really don't bother you as much as some islands do. They did call to you every time, but as soon as you said, no, I'm not interested, they kind of left you alone. Really interesting wood here. And again, this is it's just so different than I've seen in other destinations. Now, this is on the Pacific Ocean. This is on the west coast or the southwest coast of Costa Rica, so it's a little different. And again, the water was very clear, but it's not your blue Caribbean waters. It's the Pacific Ocean, which tends to be a little bit darker in color. The water was fairly calm most days, but again, like any place else, be careful of rip currents. If you see whitecaps and you're not a strong swimmer, you're probably better off staying in the pool for the day. But I did go in my last day. The water wasn't too the winds weren't too strong, so there wasn't a lot of waves or anything. Went in, and it was really nice and refreshing. Video here now, we're going to walk you back up to the resort. Now, as you look straight ahead, you'll see that is the Riu Palace Costa Rica. Off to the right there is that continues to be the same resort, and there is some mountains behind it. Now, off to the left there, that's the swim-up bar, the backside of the swim-up bar. But as you can see, the building with the red roof, that is the Riu Guanacaste, which is, again, a separate resort. Now, people who stay at the Riu Palace Costa Rica can go to the Riu Guanacaste and use their restaurants and facilities. However, people who stay at the Riu Guanacaste cannot use the facilities at the Riu Palace, Costa Rica, other than the spa and the shops that were kind of shared by both of them. Activities. There were a lot of activities going on during the day. Pretty much it seemed like it was in the main pool area. Now, me and my group pretty much stayed off into the quieter pool area, so we didn't really participate in much. But we did look at the schedule, and they had a lot of different they had water aerobics going on. They had different games, volleyball. I noticed one day they had dart throwing. Pretty much a lot of stuff going on. Over here, it looks like this is some sort of an art studio. It wasn't open at that time, but as you can see in there, there's some craft supplies. Now, I don't know whether this was for everybody that could use it or it was more for children. I believe it is for everyone, and it had certain opening hours. Again, I didn't go in while it was open, though. Here we just have a little view of the pools and the grounds area from, this was the second floor entrance, which was closest to the pool. You can see the ocean in the background. Beautifully maintained property. The pools were immaculate. The resort in general was immaculate. They were constantly cleaning, and it was just very, very well maintained. I do have to give them a lot of credit in that sense. Now let's get into the dining options a little bit further. First of all, attire-wise, it was more casual than most resorts are. You can see there's one of the steaks I had. That was what I had, the Japanese steakhouse. And I'm going to walk you through the lunch buffet now. The attire, like I was saying, is somewhat casual. I was very comfortable wearing a polo shirt, nice pair of shorts, and nicer shoes, not flip-flops, no cut-off shirts, no beach wear. Some people did get a little bit more dressed up, especially for the sit-down restaurants. But again, I was comfortable wearing whatever. This is a lunch buffet. There was plenty available for lunch. Now, one of the things that I will say was a little bit of a miss was that there was no food allowed out of the buffet for lunch. So a lot of resorts I've stayed at, they have an option where if you get out of the pool, you grab a couple, hamburger, hot dogs, some nachos, maybe some chicken sandwiches or jerk chicken, and just kind of bring it back and sit in the lounge chair and have a little something to eat without having to really dry off. You can get back in the pool. Here, you had to get out and kind of dry off and go to the buffet, which the buffet also was the steakhouse at night. The food here was excellent, but again, it was a little annoying having to get dried off to go and eat every day. Also did not allow you to take food out of the buffet. Now, I'm not sure whether the reasoning for this, whether it was to keep the animals away or to keep the facilities cleaner. I never got an answer to that. But again, it was a little bit different than I'm used to at most resorts. I don't know whether this is the case at other resorts in Costa Rica, but it was at this one. The sit-down restaurants here were absolutely amazing, but this is one that was very interesting. A person in my party asked for decaf and was handed hot water and a jar of Nescafe. Let me also add that you did not need reservations. With a larger group, you're probably better off going to try to get seated as early as possible because they did have two separate seatings at particularly the steakhouse. Let's show you a little bit of the entertainment now. This was the end of one of the shows that they had in our resort. Now here next door at the Riu Guanacaste is the white party I was telling you about. My apologies, the video isn't all that great a quality, but I just kind of wanted to show you a lot of people did bring white attire to wear to the white party. Plenty of seating. The music was very good. They played a lot of different types of music. They mixed in some of the stuff for us older folks. Played a lot of the newer hits. And again, we sat and just had a really, really good time here. The music was not all that loud, so we were able to still have a conversation and enjoy the party, and a lot of people danced as well. Now, a lot of people would like to compare all-inclusive resorts to cruises. My personal opinion that the entertainment quality on cruises and the variety is a little bit better than it is at all-inclusive resorts. But again, that's me, and that's my experience at most all-inclusive resorts I've been to. Now, there was shopping available. There was a row of stores that kind of straddle both of them. I'm going to have a full walkthrough of those stores and what was available on the other video that I am going to be having up within the next week or so on the Riu Guanacaste. So again, make sure you subscribe because there'll be that video, and there's also a ton of videos up on other Riu resorts, secret resorts, cruise lines, all-inclusives, Disney, and the like. And before I give you my final thoughts on this resort, again, if you're getting value out of this, please hit that like button. Let us know in the comments below whether you've been to this resort, other Riu resorts, other destinations, other places in Costa Rica. We'd love to hear feedback, your information, what your thoughts are on the place that we've been, because everybody has different opinions. So without further ado, we'll tell you about what our final thoughts are on the Riu Palace, Costa Rica. Value. It's an excellent value. There are nice resorts on Costa Rica, Secrets and Dreams being one of them, but you pay a considerable premium for those. They're considerably more money. Riu and Riu Palace continue to be, in my opinion, excellent values for what they provide. Some of the things that they could have improved upon was as I said, the strength and the quality of the drinks. They weren't as good as I have experienced in other Riu resorts. Also, one thing that I thought was a little bit lacking was the room service options. There were only a few things on room service, and they were all cold foods. There was no ability to order a hamburger or something like that for those late night snacks. They did have a sports bar at the Riu Guanacaste that was available for the late night snacks. I'll show you that on the other video I do on the Riu Guanacaste, but it wasn't spectacular. Let's talk about service. Service I thought was very good. They were very polite, but quite frankly, I've had better service at other destinations. Now, I chalk some of that up to language issues. It seemed to be that their English wasn't as strong as other islands, and obviously my Spanish is not as strong as it should be, so that's could be somewhat unfair. But I found if you did a special order or something that wasn't on menu, there was a little bit of difficulty in them understanding what you were looking for. The highlights is definitely the destination. Costa Rica is gorgeous. It is just very different. An abundant wildlife. It really has that unspoiled beauty that harkens back to Caribbean and Mexican destinations before tourism really hit. I'd highly recommend it. I can't wait to go back with Angela when she can come along with me. This time I had to fly solo, which was a little bit weird. But plenty of excursions, and a bunch of people in my group did different excursions, zip lining. A friend of mine did a offshore fishing boat, and there is also a little downtown area you can go to as well. But again, Costa Rica is just a really nice destination, beautiful destination. Final thoughts on Riu Palace, Costa Rica. Would I go back again? Yes, I would. The value is there. It is considerably less money than other resorts on the island. Again, I thought it was an excellent value. Now, it would all depend on budget. If budget allows, I may try one of the other resorts on the island at this point. But as a travel agent, what I recommend to my clients, yes, I would definitely would. I would caution on some of the things that I noted in the video. But again, it's value. And what one person considers an excellent resort, not everybody does. I happen to love the food. Some people might not have enjoyed the food. I thought the drinks could have been better. Some people may have had a different experience when they go. And resorts also very often change from week to week. And we're still recovering from the pandemic. So I take that into account as well. Well, again, on behalf of Angela, who wasn't with me on this one, thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. The support we've gotten on this channel has been absolutely overwhelming and has meant the world to us. If you get value out of this, hit that like button. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And definitely subscribe. This way you don't miss out on any of the videos we do in the future. And YouTube knows that the stuff we're putting out there, they should be showing to other people. So again, on behalf of Angela, Thank you for joining this, and until next time, we'll see you on our next adventure. Bye-bye, everybody.